your childhood home. The one place you thought was safe, filled with every memory you hold dear. Now imagine finding out your own brother was secretly trying to sell it without ever telling you. That's the betrayal at the heart of this story. And the revenge that followed, it's as sharp as a turning key in a lock. This isn't just about losing a house. It's about losing trust, and trust is a currency that once broken can never be bought back. She and her brother inherited their childhood home after their parents passed. To her, it wasn't just property, it was sacred. Every wall held memories of birthdays, late night talks, and quiet mornings. They agreed she would save and buy out his share so the house could remain in the family. It wasn't just a deal, it was a promise. And here's where I already see the first crack. Verbal promises between family, they sound sweet, but in reality, they're ticking time bombs. For months, she cut back on everything. Luxuries, gone. Nights out, gone. Even small pleasures. A morning coffee, a dinner out, she gave them up to save enough money. Think about that dedication. Most people won't even stick to a diet for a week, and here she is slashing every expense just to honor a family pact. That's how deep her attachment to this house ran. You believed they were on the same page, working toward the same goal. But under the surface, something else was brewing. And here's where it gets dangerous. When one person is acting from emotion and the other is acting from profit. Nostalgia versus numbers. Guess which one usually wins? Now, she thought she was preparing to make her brother whole. In her mind, she was saving their legacy. But his mind, it was already moving in a very different direction. This is the calm before the storm. And storms don't just destroy houses, they destroy families. She worked for months, carefully saving every dollar she could. She cut out luxuries, lived frugally, and kept her eyes on the prize. One day, she would hand her brother a fair buyout and keep their family home. This is what makes her different. Most people look at an inheritance as quick cash, but to her, the house wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was an anchor to her family's history, and that's powerful. But then, the signs started showing. A neighbor casually mentioned seeing unfamiliar cars in the driveway, strangers walking through the yard. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe it was nothing. Or maybe it's everything. Let's be real. Neighbors don't usually mistake a house tour for nothing. If your family home suddenly looks like an open house, that's not coincidence. One morning, on her way home, she noticed it, a realtor sign tucked discreetly at the edge of the lawn. Her heart dropped. Her brother hadn't said a word. And yet, the house was being marketed to strangers. That moment, the gut punch of betrayal. And let's pause here. This wasn't just careless communication. This was deliberate secrecy. He knew what they agreed on. He knew what she was working toward, and he still moved in silence. She confronted him. His response? Brutal. He brushed her off, saying the market was hot and that it made more sense to cash out now. Her feelings didn't matter. The agreement didn't matter. Can you imagine? Your own brother cutting you out of your home because he thinks $1 today is worth more than a lifetime of memory? That's not just greed. That's betrayal in its rawest form. From that point, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations turned cold. Trust evaporated. Every time she looked at him, all she could see was someone who valued money over blood. And let me ask you, what would you do at this point? Walk away to avoid drama, or dig your heels in and fight for what's right? Because this is the moment where most people break. She started piecing it all together. Documents, conversations, even whispers from neighbors. Her brother wasn't just exploring options. He was preparing to sell, and soon. And this is where the story shifts. You can almost feel her resolve harden. She's no longer just saving to buy him out. She's preparing to strike back. It all came crashing down when she discovered the truth. Her brother wasn't testing the waters. He had already shown the house to multiple developers. They were touring her childhood home, mapping out renovations, making offers while she was still saving every dime. Right there, the knife twist. This isn't miscommunication. This is betrayal with intent. He didn't just cross the line, he erased it. She described the moment like a blackout, standing in her own driveway, watching strangers walk out of the home she grew up in, laughing, discussing how they'd modernize it. In that instant, her history became their blueprint. I can't imagine that pain, seeing the walls that heard your parents' voices, your childhood's secrets, treated like real estate. To her, this wasn't just a house, it was sacred ground. She confronted him again. His answer was colder than before. He told her this was just business, that she needed to let go of the past. His words cut deeper than any contract. Just business. That's the excuse people use when they've stopped seeing you as family. Money makes monsters, and he was already gone. She remembered the spare key, a small piece of metal she had tucked away years ago when things were still good between them. That night, she used it. She walked inside, and with one turn of the wrist, she changed every lock. And this is where revenge takes form. No screaming, no chaos, just quiet, calculated power. Sometimes the sharpest blade is a key. The next day, her brother arrived with investors, ready to sell, ready to walk them through the house. Instead, he found himself locked out. The look on his face, she said, was worth every sacrifice she had made. I mean, imagine it, standing on the porch with developers at your side, puffed up with pride, and realizing you don't even control the front door. That's not just revenge, that's poetic justice. The lock change wasn't just a move, it was a line in the sand. When her brother arrived with investors and couldn't get inside, his anger boiled over. He shouted, accused her of betrayal, and stormed off. The family home was no longer a symbol of unity, it had become a battlefield. Think about the irony here. He called her a betrayer after trying to sell her out in secret. Classic projection. When guilty people get caught, they don't apologize, they attack. The fight spread beyond the two of them. Relatives started taking sides. Some argued she was right to defend the home. Others claimed she went too far by changing the locks without warning. Family dinners became debates. Phone calls turned into shouting matches. This is the hidden cost of revenge. You might win the battle, but the war leaves scars. She didn't just lose trust in her brother, she lost a piece of her family, and sometimes that cost is heavier than the victory. The situation escalated further. Lawyers got involved. Her brother threatened to sue, claiming she had no right to lock him out. She prepared her defense, gathering proof of their verbal agreement and her financial efforts. What started as a family argument had now become a legal standoff. And here's the lesson. Family disputes over property rarely stay private. They spill into courtrooms, bank accounts, and years of grudges. Revenge feels satisfying in the moment, but it can trap you in battles you never expected. She admitted that while she didn't regret protecting the home, she did regret what it did to her relationship with her brother. The bond they once had was broken, maybe forever, and that's the real heartbreak. Houses can be rebuilt, locks can be replaced, but once trust is shattered in family, it rarely comes back. In the end, this was never just about a house. It was about memory, legacy, and betrayal. A brother who saw walls and windows as profit, and a sister who saw them as pieces of her soul. By changing the locks, she didn't just stop a sale, she preserved her history, but the price? A fractured family bond. And that's the double edge of revenge. It can give you justice, it can give you power, but it almost always takes something from you too. She kept the home, but she lost her brother. Was it worth it? That's the question. She says she doesn't regret what she did, because sometimes protecting what you love means locking out the very people who were supposed to protect it. So what do you think? Was she right to change the locks and shut him out? Or did she cross the line into something she can never take back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I might feature them in the next video. If you found this story as wild as I did, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Because trust me, the next family revenge story, it's even darker.